Hey everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm Afefe with Touch by Tarot and Beyond. Today I'm going to do a political reading for you, but I have not forgotten my spiritual folk. Check back with me in about a couple of days. We have the lunar eclipse in Libra coming up on March 25th, so I'll have something up for you. I'll pick a card up for you no later than 23rd. Give you a couple of days to take a look at it and see what Spirit has to say about that. So check back with me on that. Meanwhile, like politics, you all, I have been resistant sometimes because it can make us all anxious, but I do feel like at least my approach coming to Spirit, and I hope you all feel the same way, is it's not about hitting any panic buttons. It's really just about staying informed, getting a heads up from Spirit about what we can expect, how we can adjust and adapt and make our game plan, all right? Speaking of, today I'm filming this on the 20th, which is the spring equinox, and Spirit gave me a metaphor. This is a day when there is that balance between light and dark in the seasons, in daylight. And I thought, so from here on is where the light starts to increase and we get more daylight, right? The light meaning, in the context as a metaphor for what many of us are going through politically. Like, let's let the light get stronger and stronger and last longer and longer. Let's hold on to that metaphor. All right. Four topics I want to cover for you all today. We're going to go to Spirit on. One is the Supreme Court, like out of nowhere. 1 minute they can't move at all. They need time. Next minute, give us 5 minutes. We'll have a decision for you. So now they came out yesterday and said, basically, Texas, do you. You can run amok. Do what you got to do with these migrants. We're out of it. It's on you, right? And then I woke up this morning and found out Fifth Circuit said, not so fast. I don't know about all of that. So I want to go to Spirit and see how that's gonna eventually land out, because there are so many ramifications for what could happen if, in fact, Abbott has his way and Texas takes over the policing and prosecution of migrants. There is tremendous fear in existing immigrants in Texas and beyond, because this also has implications for what could happen in other states that are ringing the alarms, like Arizona, California. So what happens there could be that trickle down effect if in fact the states are given these rights to just do whatever willy-nilly what they decide, however they want to handle it. It not only is designed to lessen the crossings, the illegal crossings at the borders, but also the people who are here, who are working, who are, trying to make lives better for their families and represent no threat whatsoever, much less being animals, as somebody referred to them recently. There's tremendous fear, and I understand they're actually being given classes. There are organizations that are starting to try and educate immigrants on what to do if you're approached by officers, what your rights are, your right to remain silent, etc. That's just unimaginable that we are at that stage. However, want to see what the Fifth Circuit is going to do in relation to bucking back at the Supreme Court and saying, I don't know about all that yet. So we're going to look at Texas. We're going to look at the Trump fire sale. Tish James said she could see the 40 Wall Street from where she lives, or where her office is, whatever. But she's like, I look at that building every day. What I did not know, and maybe you didn't either, is that Trump does not officially own 40 Wall Street. It is one of the most lucrative properties that he's connected to. But I found out he actually has something that's called, what is it? A ground lease in connection with that building. It is actually owned by some German family, the Hindenburgs, whoever they are. It's owned by a German family, but it is still an asset because he has a ground lease. So basically, Tish James can go after any and all New York state assets that Trump holds in whatever form. So whatever income he's getting from this ground lease, she could definitely go after that. But I did not realize until I looked into it that he doesn't actually technically own 40 Wall Street, which once again, this whole shadow that this man has erected, Trump has erected around himself of, this extreme wealth, this billionaire status. When you take a closer look at it, which my, didn't she do just that? It's so, it's just not real. It's so much of it is a facade. But anyway, want to take a look at the fire sale and see if in fact will Judge Engoron grant them a little more time to try and scramble, Trump's attorneys a little more time to try and scramble for this, what is it, $464 million bond. I'd take a sip of juice on that one. Unbelievable. And all of these companies are like, how much? And they're like, how much do you? No, we can't do that. No, not for properties that are already mortgaged. It's not like he owns them outright and can put them up for collateral. So much of what he has in his mortgages on them. So they're like, how are we going to recoup our money? So is that fire sale going to happen? Clock's ticking. I believe it's until Monday the 25th, the lunar eclipse. Loving it. To come up with some money. Let's see if in fact Engoron will grant them a reprieve. His lawyers are apparently asking for him to reduce that bond to $100 million. I don't see how that's likely. I mean, on what basis, right? But so let's see if in fact those properties start to go. There's a Trump fire sale in New York. And let's look at third thing, Aileen Loose Cannon. I am giving her a new name, Aileen Loose Cannon. Of the 4 cases that are pending, Florida, Georgia, D.C., New York. The Florida case is just it's a basket case, and it is because so much was said about the idea that Aileen Cannon was completely inept and unable to handle a case of this magnitude, and she is proving that to be true. All of the political experts, everything that's the decisions that she's making, the delay tactics, her reasoning for the delay tactics, all of it just shows a tremendous amount of ineptitude on her part. But the latest is this thing about things being delayed because she wants to see jury instructions from both sides, proposed jury instructions, before there's even a trial date. Because now there's this question about how are you going to prove to the jury whether these documents were considered personal by Trump once he left the White House and took them with him. They were now his personal possessions versus whether they still remained classified documents. Like, she is actually asking these kinds of questions and telling the lawyers, I need you to tell me what we're going to tell the jury about that. Oh, so we're going to take a look and see if Jack Smith has got to make a move, you all, on this one. And in fact, will she be disqualified? There are some, there's some rumblings out there, and there were when she first took the case, because she is so inept and clearly partisan regarding Trump. Everything she does is going to come out in his favor. So ultimately, is she going to get removed? We're going to take a look at that. And finally, Chuck Schumer took a lot of heat this week, you all, because not only as a Jewish man, but in his position, leader of the Senate, he came out and said, listen, let's get real for a minute. Maybe it's time for us to think about Israel having a new government. Netanyahu hit the roof. His old boy on his cabinet, what's his name? Benny Gantz. Remember, Benny Gantz came here and visited with Kamala Harris, Chuck Schumer, other congressional leaders, about 2 weeks ago, and apparently did so without Netanyahu's approval. So he slid over here, got wined and dined and had some meetings because he has been very disapproving of Netanyahu's handling of the situation, the war in Gaza. And so Netanyahu has benched Benny Gantz. All right. He's been benched. He has been told, you go sit somewhere. You are in timeout. He is no longer allowed to be a part of any delegation. They've been talking about getting some folks to Qatar to try and get this ceasefire in place. Benny Gantz has been benched. He's like, you're not going. So, but now Netanyahu is today supposed to meet by video with the Senate, Chuck Schumer and the Senate. Okay, so it'd be very interesting. I wanted to ask Spirit, what's going to be the outcome of that? What's the point with that? It feels like he realizes that he's got to address. I mean, he already came out and said, Chuck is tripping. Like, who is he to say what we're going to do? Trump jumped on it, of course, and tried to use it as to divide, put a further wedge between diaspora Jews and Israeli Jews. That's not going to happen. I do think people see that for what it is. They saw that machination for what it is. So that's not going to happen. But I do want to see what the outcome of that meeting with Netanyahu and the Senate today will be. And maybe if we have time, I don't want to go too long, we'll see about the ceasefire. To get some timing on the ceasefire. Somebody's going to ask me. I am going to read from the Tarot of Sacred Kingdoms today. All right, let's go in. So, Texas, will the 5th District prevail? And will they be able to hold off on Texas having complete authority over the border, over policing the border? Will the federal government still have a say in the policing and ultimate authority, not just a say, but ultimate authority in the policing of the Texas border? I have Justice. That's looking good. I just pulled Justice at the bottom of the deck after I shuffled. And it feels that way. Like, one of the reasons I chose this deck is because of that imagery. It's like the good guys against what feels like unbelievable, like just gaining momentum every time we feel like we're getting somewhere. All right, so Justice. 3 of Cups, celebration. And the 5 of Cups, ooh, disappointed. Feeling like we could celebrate it, but then being disappointed behind it. So ultimately, or disappointed with the ultimate outcome. Will Greg Abbott and the state of Texas have ultimate authority over border crossings or border policing? Will they have ultimate authority? We have the 4 Swords. It's being figured out. It's still being litigated in the courts. But the outcome, Spirit, the Celestial Weaver. This deck has an extra card. It's a beautiful card, and it's saying right now. It's saying it's in it's in limbo, you all. But Spirit, come on, we got to come down on one side or the other. What is the ultimate outcome? I know it's in limbo right now. And it's almost like equal forces. That's what there's like. It's equal forces pushing on either side that won't give ground. But ultimately, we have the Tower. Shoot. I'm not liking that, you all. Is that Tower showing me that Texas will, in fact, somehow gain an upper hand? The Fool. Okay, let's see. Let's pray. Maybe we can change that. But right now, I am not, somehow it looks at this moment, again, let's hope the energy shifts. The 5th Circuit has come back and said, Supreme Court, we ain't digging what you said. And there's still issues around this that need to be ironed out. But it's looking like even if the federal government still plays a pivotal role in ultimately how the border is handled, there's going to be enough give from the side of Texas and what Abbott wants to exert, the cages, the unjustified stops, perhaps even the loss of lives, that I'm not seeing that stop at this time. Tag it. All right, we will revisit that. Again, energy can shift. And let's hope that energy shifts. But right now, it's looking like that Texas is gaining ground in their argument. And even though the 5th Circuit is coming back on the Supreme Court and saying not so fast, I don't know. Let's keep an eye on it. All right. Trump fire sale. Hopefully we'll get some better news with this one. Spirit, will Tish James put Trump's properties? Will she seize his properties and thereafter sell them or sell some of them to recoup the money from the judgment that was rendered against Donald Trump and the Trump organization? Will Tish James, will the Attorney General seize Trump's properties? Will his properties be seized and then sold? We have the 9 of Cups. It's what we all want. It's the wish card, right? It's what we all want. We have the 9 of Cups. We have the Six of Wands. Victory. Ooh, you all. Okay. I asked for better news in this portion of the reading, and then so far we're getting it. Yeah, this is in motion, you all. And the Seven of Pentacles. Let's sit back and make a list, take a tally of everything that he owns, which they already have. But yeah. And excuse me. It's early. I'm taping. My voice ain't ready yet. Seven of Cups. There's still going to be questions around which properties to go after, which ones he owns outright versus which ones have mortgages, and which ones, because there are complications. You can put liens on the property, but then that doesn't mean, if the property is still held up by banks, etc., then that doesn't mean you can just automatically go in and, from the state, from what I understand, and haul off and sell this. You don't, if he doesn't really own it, then how do you own it? In other words, that's what I feel like Spirit is saying there. So that Seven of Cups is going to be it's going to be a mess. It's going to be a good mess, but it's going to be a mess. So finally, one more card. The High Priestess. There is still such a beautiful card. I want to show you that. Look at that fox down there. There are and the Three of Swords, that's him. He sees the writing on the wall, meaning what's been hidden has now come to light. And that, I am so sorry, you all. I should have taken a cough drop or something this morning for my voice. But the Three of Swords, he's messed up. He's really, really messed up behind this. None of us is going to cry some tears over that. But this is the end of an era in New York for his family, for that name, for that brand. And somehow, even though it's going to be a long, drawn-out process, because now they still have to go, again, what does he own? What's still mortgaged? What leverage do they have to actually recoup the money? Because at the end of the day, it needs to be assets that's going to help the state of New York recoup the money. So that's a process, but it is going to go forward. All right, Aileen Loose Cannon. Is she going to get pulled from this case? Is by some miracle, and if anybody can do it, Jack Smith can do it. It's got to be some sort of legal maneuver to get her off of the case. Because she's a danger. My gosh, she's a danger. For entertainment purposes only. So will Jack Smith will Aileen Cannon be removed from this case? Will she be removed from the classified documents case in Florida? Six of Pentacles. Three of Cups, celebration again. Six of Pentacles, Three of Cups. Five of Cups. And the Queen of Wands, that's her. Okay, yeah, she's in her feelings about the criticism that she's undergoing. Whatever, Aileen. Yeah, she's in her feelings. That's how that's feeling for me. The Queen of Wands is how I'm seeing her, and that Five of Cups. So she sees what's being said. She knows what's being said, and she's in her feelings a little bit about it. But ultimately, will she get removed, Spirit? Will she get pulled off of this case? We have the Phoenix, the sun rising from the ashes. Is that a phoenix, like somebody coming to rescue the case? Someone else coming in to rescue the case? Strength. Yeah, she ain't going to make it. She's going to go too far. And at some point, the mistakes that she's making and her clear allegiance to Trump is going to reach, it's going to be a bridge too far. And I think she's going to get pulled. Now, but once again, what does that do? That delays the case. Like all of these cases that we thought 2024 was going to be like bam, 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 decision. He'll be behind bars by July if he lives that long, right? And here we are, going into headed for April, and we don't even have firm dates. We thought we had a firm date in New York for the hush money trial. And then here comes, old guy, Merchant, talking about, well, maybe middle of April. Like, everything's been pushed back in the Four of Wands. But there is, there is going to be a solid commitment to this case. It's not going anywhere. Going back to the classified documents case. It's not going anywhere. There's a solid commitment to it, to see it through. But it may mean, and it looks like it will mean, ultimately, she's got to go. That may delay it even further. But either way, they've got to get somebody competent to handle that case. All right. And finally, today, Netanyahu is going to meet with Chuck Schumer and the Senate by video. Want to take a look at the impetus of that meeting and the outcome of that meeting. We know that Netanyahu and Schumer, neither one are very happy with each other right now because of the stance that Chuck Schumer came out and said publicly. Right on, Chuck. That took a lot for him. Nobody knows more than Chuck Schumer that he's Jewish and how that could possibly be perceived for him to take that stance. I think that was enormously courageous, and it spoke to his convictions. But this meeting today between Netanyahu and the Senate spirit, what's the outcome of that? How's that gonna go? Well, the Fool. Interesting. How do we move forward? How do we hit? This is about hitting a reset. It is. It's about hitting a reset. Recognizing that things have really gone off the rails, which is so unusual between Israel and the government here, Congress especially, and the Senate. We have the King of Cups. That feels like Schumer for me. Mature, stable, steady. And we have the Three of Swords. There's going to be, of course, there will be a lot of discussion around part of so much of what was driving Schumer's position is the tremendous loss of life in Gaza. The starvation, the inability to get access, for people to get access to health care, to food, to water. So that's that Three of Swords. This really is a humanitarian issue, but then it comes with the Three of Wands. All right, let's figure this out, y'all. That's what this meeting is going to do today. I think it's going to be a come to Jesus, and rather than be contentious and go completely off the rails, I think that Schumer is truly going to step up as a leader and help set the tone. BB is, we know that he leans extremely far right. We know that there's a lot of people unhappy with him, but still there is, he has a extremely vested interest in maintaining the support from the U.S. government and Senate in particular. So I think the Three of Wands is going to be, at least ostensibly, there's going to be how do we maintain some sort of unity in handling this? But then I get the Five of Pentacles, which feels like very much Netanyahu's going to come from the position of, Israel cannot afford to be vulnerable. And we have to be able to do whatever we got to do to make sure that these surrounding countries do not perceive us in any way as vulnerable. Going on overdrive and overkill, using that term deliberately, is what is from Schumer's perspective, and many people across the globe are saying that's not the way to go, UN included, right? But we've got the Five of Pentacles, so that's saying there's how do you not feel and operate from a space of isolationism at the same time that you respect life? We have Judgment. Woo! Spirit is like, yes, let's speak on that. Let's speak on that. Because ultimately, that's what this is going to come down to. This is a humanitarian issue. And Israel, I think, from this meeting is going to come out, listen, you've got to come to grips with the fact that this is ultimately a humanitarian issue, And we've got to figure out a way to have a win-win. Six of Wands. It's not saying, nobody, Schumer, Congress, nobody here is going to tell Netanyahu, listen, you're going to need to just bite it, step back, and basically go back on a lot of the things that you've put forward in terms of what your fundamental beliefs are and why it is that you're waging this war the way that you are. But so there's not going to be an about face, but there is going to be a way forward. The impetus from this meeting, you all, is going to be to get them to the negotiating table. And I think that was what that Three of Wands was about. It's about getting everybody to the negotiating table. The U.S. for sure is going to play a role in that. Who that will be, I don't know. But the U.S. will play a significant role in that. Three of Pentacles. Blinken. Didn't Blinken go meet with... did he meet with the leader of Qatar? I know Blinken went and had some meetings. Blinken, of course, will be a part of the U.S.'s side of it. And I got that Three of Pentacles. So it's going to be, let's work together with the Knight of Cups. I'm really reassured by that because the Knight of Cups says, let's move. Knights are about movement. Let's move, but let's move with a sense of rationale, a sense of calm, a sense of figuring out how to make this flow in the direction that it needs to. So I think that's a really, really good sign. And finally, you all, I'm going to get off of here. I've gone a little longer than I intended to. I do want to see if we can get a timing element for a ceasefire. Ceasefire in Gaza, Spirit, timing. What just came out? High Priestess, unknown right now. And also, but a 2, so it could be 2 weeks. What is the timing? When will we get a ceasefire in Gaza? Queen of Pentacles. Six of Cups. Because they were I think that refers to the time they were talking about a 6-week ceasefire in order to reclaim the hostages and then see where they went from there. And the Emperor. Right now, you all, it's looking like, and the Ace of Wands, I like that. It looks like it's pretty imminent then. I'm seeing the Emperor is ruled by Aries and also Mars. Aries is ruled by Mars. I feel like we're going into Aries season. So I feel like, and then we got that Ace of Wands as well. I'm sorry, the Empress. The Emperor. I'm getting excited, you all. The Emperor is ruled by Aries, which is ruled by Mars with this Ace of Wands. I knew I saw it. I just held them up in different order. All right. So fire. Aries season. It feels to me like this is going to happen while we are in Aries season. How long it holds and whether or not Netanyahu sticks to his guns around. I hate that term. Excuse me. Get rid of that. Around that 6-week time span, enough time to release the hostages and then see where they go. There will have to be, I think that's why the High Priestess came up. There's going to have to be further talks in order for them to not convince, but to lay out the case for why then that ceasefire needs to become permanent, even after the hostages are released. And the Eight of Pentacles, perfect. That's a confirmation. The Eight of Pentacles is work. It's mastering the work. We've come so far. So much work has been done towards getting this ceasefire in place. Let's not let it implode. Let's not go back to square one. Once, in fact, it stops, then the roads open. Aid can be given to people. There's going to be so much effort put into helping the people of that region, that to say after 6 weeks, okay, let's let it all just go back to hell in a handbasket. I don't think so. But it's going to be how to iron out those details. And perfect. I've got the confirmation I wanted. The star. That is that card of hope and moving forward and humanitarianism, and people feeling, giving people a sense of hope, giving people a vision for how to move forward. So the key is going to be to get the ceasefire in place. I'm seeing sometime during Aries season. So that would be we're going into Aries season now. So from between now and the mid to whatever part of April, around April 1920. Hopefully not that long. But again, I'm just going by what I see. I'm looking at Aries season. I see that fire. So within that time frame, but then once they get that in place, I think that ceasefire is going to hold, Spirit is saying, because there's so much work that will be done during that time to help the people of the region that it's going to be almost inexcusable to then pull the rug back out from underneath them. So I think it will hold once we get it, okay? All right, y'all. Didn't mean to go that long, but I hope it was helpful. I hope it was insightful. As always, I welcome your comments. Check back again in the next couple of days by the 23rd or so, and I'll have a pick a card on this lunar eclipse in Libra that we have coming up on March 25th. Take really good care of yourself and stay safe out there. Bye.